Miku, I give up. I mean, what was I thinking? That I could really get to 1 million subscribers? Yeah, what a joke. There won't be any more new videos. I mean, look at me. I'm a mess. I'm in no condition to be making videos right now. Besides, what's the point of making more videos if no one's gonna watch them? Of course I was consistent. The last video I uploaded was 7 months ago. Okay, fine. Maybe I could have been more consistent. But still, all this work and for what? I wish I was a kid again. Things were so much more easier back then. You could just sit around and play video games all day. I still even remember playing my first ever video game console. Well, kind of. Long ago in the early 90s, internet was expensive and took ages to connect. You couldn't just simply download a game on a whim or go online and find free games you could easily play. But what was almost readily available were video games. Just set them up, plug them in, and bam, you're good to go to play for hours and hours on end. Strap in, Miku, because you're in for a quick history lesson. In 1995, Nintendo and SEGA were still duking it out with their consoles, and Sony was up and coming. The world was introduced to the Sega Saturn, PlayStation, and teased with the upcoming Nintendo 64. As for me, in 1995, I was introduced to my very first console ever, the SEGA Master System. For poor people, this was cheap and affordable, and the latest and greatest. Now, my family wasn't really poor, but titling the video growing up as a low-class working person doesn't have the same ring to it. So, sorry for the clickbait. Nevertheless, we didn't have a lot of money. My SEGA Master System and all its games only costed my dad $15. So it was something we were able to splurge on for a bit. And you might be saying, Suarez Digital, there is literally no way that you didn't know any of these other consoles existed. Didn't you watch TV or have any friends? Well, no. In my defense, I was barely 2 years old, so my memories, while impacted by those experiences, were still very limited and spotty. And when we did watch TV, we were limited to the same VHS cassette tapes. We did have antenna TV, but rarely ever did we get more than 5 channels. But that didn't matter to me because this Master System was the best thing ever. I had 4 great games: great tennis, great basketball, Hang On, and Asteroid Warrior. To me, these were really great games. Keep in mind, I was a kid with nothing else to do. So, I had a lot of patience and time to really focus myself on playing these games over and over again. First off, we have Asteroid Warrior and Hang On, both arcade-style games with no end in sight. But my 2-year-old brain didn't know that, so I spent hours trying to get to the end. Asteroid Warrior is simple, a shoot 'em up where you just shoot down alien spaceships. Repeat the same 3 levels over and over again. As for Hang On, this is a motorcycle-based driving game where you maneuver around other drivers and objects until the time runs out. Both were simple but fun. Aside from the cartridges, the Master System also took these little things called SEGA cards. To me, this was the future. And again, it's mainly because I didn't know that 32-bit consoles existed at this time. Now, we'll try some great basketball. Oh wait, that's right. My games were bought secondhand at a swap meet. Nevertheless, I still played this. Claiming that I played this game was arguably very debatable since I actually didn't know what was going on. Yeah, 2-year-old me just mashed buttons until I could see the characters on the field. Admittedly, I didn't understand the concept of sports in general, and let alone sports games. I thought they were little chickens and eggs running around a grass field. And great tennis wasn't any better either, as I still had no idea what was going on. I would try so hard to move my characters out of the arena, and of course, that's not how you play tennis. And for some reason, I thought the tennis players were babies in a playpen. Admittedly, not the best games, but they did keep me entertained. Our console also came with a guidebook that showed off a library of games available for the system. These were sorted out into different categories: action, adventure, puzzle, and so forth. Even though this console may not have aged gracefully, and arguably there are better titles and more popular ones on the NES, I will always hold this console close to my heart. But it wasn't always like this, as I can remember 7-year-old me tried selling this and all its games at a garage sale for $10. This is actually one of those times I'm actually glad I failed. And there were a lot of cool accessories that were available for this that I would see at the swap meets. However, I didn't own them up until recently, and sadly, I don't own any games that I could use these with, so I can't tell you how they work. And while I did love my Master System, my uncle owned the NES, and at the time, I couldn't help but feel jealous of all the cool games he had. Whenever we would visit, we would play all these cool NES games, like Contra, Mega Man, Duck Hunt, and of course, the legendary Super Mario games. I always really wanted to own these, and I can always remember coming home and feeling empty because my Master System didn't have any of these games. And now, I'm actually so glad that 2-year-old me didn't know that 32-bit consoles existed during this time. or I would have been even more depressed.
And fortunately, I never knew that any other home consoles existed aside from the 8-bit ones. The only time I saw high-definition 32-bit graphics were the times we went to Chuck E. Cheese or our local pizza place with its arcade games. And obviously, being big cabinet-style arcade machines, it somehow registered in my mind that these were impossible to own at home. You always had your usual suspects: Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and the cruising game series. I always loved the cruising game series because you were able to sit in a car seat and drive a car. This experience was unmatched for 2-year-old me. But what really caught my attention were the fighting games, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And seeing these amazing fighting games made me wish that this technology could come home with me. Little did I know that my wishes would soon come true, as 1 year later, we ended up getting the Sega Genesis with Mortal Kombat. Cough. And already these games already existed, except I just didn't know about them.
You're right, Miku. Sega didn't give up right after the Master System failed. Sure, it only sold 10 million copies compared to Nintendo's 60 million, but in hindsight, that 10 million is still a lot. It only sold 10 million. Man, I would kill to have that many people subscribe to me. But still, 420 subscribers, that's still a lot. I bet there are so many people that wish they would have that many subscribers. Heck, some college classes can barely even find 10 people to enroll in them. And you know what? It is my fault for giving up too easily. I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna give up one more time. From here on out, I give up on giving up. You heard that right, Miku. We're gonna make big changes this year. Why? Who knows what shenanigans we're gonna get into? Maybe I'll pluck out my facial hair again. Maybe I'll just even beat the Sonic & Knuckles world record holder for most stat cartridges. Or maybe I'll just get fit again using nothing but the Switch. I'm excited, Miku. The possibilities are endless. This year, it's going to be our year. Yeah. 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 And after all these years, I still don't know how to end a video.